It's Monday afternoon here on A2D Radio. So, of course, we're bringing Philadelphia baseball talk to you with Here's the Thing, Mitch Williams, Tom Arnone. I'm Chrome. Like, subscribe, follow, join the conversation. Let's roll it.
Oh, my God! I'm embarrassed! He's flying!
Welcome in. It's almost time.
Good afternoon, guys. A2D Radio coming at you guys live, rolling the week out with tons of great sports conversation for you. And we are getting right into Philadelphia Phillies talk with Mitch Williams and Tom Arnone. But first, little love to our sponsors over at Gleason's Bar. It's located at the 6700 Mill Creek Ave, Levittown, PA. So you use that promo code A2D, 10% off your order, dine in, take out online. However you like to grab your food, eat your dinner, Gleason's Bar and Steaks.com. Make sure you let them know A2D sent you in. And we're going to open up our conversation, guys, with a very easy topic. We're coming down to the stretch of the season. We're rolling into September after this week. Simple question for you guys. Is the offense the biggest concern or the defense going into this final month of the season? The pitching is bigger concern than the offense, is what I should say. Pitching is the bigger concern than the offense. Do you agree or disagree with that? Mitch, we'll roll out with you first here, brother.
No, the pitching is not a bigger concern than the offense. To me, the offense is just inconsistent. You see games like the Saturday night game. They're down 3-0 and come back and win 12-3 or something. The offense has to start putting that on the field on a daily basis. You can't go out there against Washington and lose 2 out of 3 to that pitching staff. I'm sorry, it just shouldn't happen.
Tom?
Yeah, I mean, I disagree to the poll too. I mean, when you look at the pitching staff, we'll just go over the last 10 games, right? Go over the last 10 games. They got a 3.52 on run average. You know, I would probably sign up for that as a whole, as an entire, not just your starters, as an entire pitching staff, which counts the bullpen too, right? They got a 3.52. When you look at our batting and the offensive side of things, I believe it's a 260 batting average, right, in those last 10. Okay, factor in that 260 being the same 11-0 run Mitch just talked about, right? That 11-0 outburst that came on Saturday night. That's all part of that 260. So how bad has that offense been without those explosions? Listen to me. Pitching's going to win come postseason time. You need dominant pitching to win in the postseason. We already know that. But you also need timely hits. And timely hits have been a problem with this offense the entire year. This isn't an overreact thing. This is the facts thing, okay? They need to figure it out offensively because it has not been good enough. As sure as that hasn't been good enough. And I don't like to talk about this too much, but it's the truth. With the money that you're paying for some of these guys, it's not even close to being good enough. Now, has Turner gotten better? Yeah, right? And I think he's turned a corner. It looks like he's turned a corner. Let's hope that continues, right? We talk about JT weekly, all the rest. But, you know, the younger guys are doing better than the older guys. We need some more consistency with this offense because I do think the pitching staff isn't really a concern. I'm not telling you the offense is like this major concern. But if I had to put them together, I'm going to lean that the offense has been a little more concerning than the pitching as of right now. That's not resolving issues that the pitching staff's had or this pitching as a whole has had this year. That's just saying recently, the way I look at it, the pitching's been a little bit more consistent. And when you're looking to win in October, you're looking for consistency. So I'll disagree to the poll.
No, I agree totally with you, Tom.
Yeah, I think you guys are right on, hitting the nail right on the head too. Because what has been the conversation for the majority of the season? Now,
Trey Turner and JT Realmuto. That's correct. Been the overwhelming concern all year long.
Aaron Nola.
With a side of Nola, yeah.
Yeah, with a side of Nola.
If we take Nola out of the equation, though, there has been consistently, those are the two names consistently, but there's times where we talked about Schwarber. There's times where we talked about pretty much everybody outside of Bohm, Stott, and Castellanos, right?
Exactly.
And I think that's very telling on where this team is at right now. And, especially with the pitching. And we talked last week about getting that rest through the rotation at this point leading into the last month of the season. I haven't seen enough on a consistent basis still with the offense to say, hey, I'm not concerned with this going in. They're going to work it out this last month of the season going into the playoffs.
Well, and that's the thing you got to look at. Come postseason, it's all about the pitching. And like Tom said, timely hitting. And I look at these guys. Trey Turner was 1 for 11 before he had the 2 home run game on that road trip. That just can't happen with a guy of his talent. And it's so obvious just to watch the video. And we beat on this every week. I don't understand how a guy that's getting paid $300 million can't look at video and recognize when he's hitting well, his barrel is up when he starts. When he's not, he drops it behind his head. It's so easy to see. And I don't understand, as a hitter or a hitting coach, something's not transferring from the hitting coach to Trey Turner and JT, because they simply can't repeat their mechanics on an every at-bat basis. And that's something that to me is very concerning.
And it's very head scratching, Mitch, because you're talking about two guys that are in their roles are veterans and professionals, and Trey Turner as the player on field, and Kevin Long is a hitting coach who's been all over the league, who's worked with the top hitters in the league. It's very concerning that it's what's today's date? August 20th, 21st, whatever. 21st.
August 21st.
And we're still talking about, and particularly with the anticipation coming into the year after what you saw in the World Baseball Classic with Trey Turner, you thought you were set. We're talking about a guy who's going to be a top 3 MVP candidate, and now it's August 21st, and he still hasn't figured it out.
No,
that's concerning.
Oh wait, Jake Friel, he's going to agree with the poll that the pitching is more concerning.
Oh, Jake, elaborate on that in the comment section.
Yeah, I would love to hear your reasoning behind that.
Yeah, and all you guys out there, make sure you drop your comments. You see Mitch is seeing them. Tom's seeing them too. Drop your comments in, and even if it's egregious, we want to hear why.
Yeah, we don't care. I don't care about any. I want to hear everybody's opinion. But when I look back on this season as a whole, there is no way you can sit there and say the pitching has been a bigger concern. It's been the most consistent of the Phillies team all year long. They pitched well enough to win. They had a 6-1 lead the other night. Yeah, they coughed that up. But that, to me, speaks more to the manager than it does the pitching staff. You can't lose a 6-1 lead if you're a manager. I'm sorry. It just shouldn't happen. Not when you have 9 guys in the bullpen.
I would venture to say that in terms of the pitching staff, I'm more confident in this pitching staff than I was last season going into the playoffs. Because you knew you had Wheeler, you knew you had Nola, but I still felt like there was a little bit of concern on the back. And now Ranger obviously stepped up, and you had guys who really stepped up and who I think rolled into this year, took the momentum of that. But last year, I was more concerned about the pitching staff going through the year than the offense. I always felt like the offense would click on at some point. This year,
they better flip the switch quick.
Yeah.
They've got themselves in a good position now. I think they got the first wild card spot right now, right?
Correct.
Yeah, they should have that. They should lock that up.
Well, it looks to me like they're going to get in the postseason.
Yes.
Which I thought all year long. They ain't catching the Braves. The Braves have won 80 games already.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
I mean, I can't believe the season's gone by that fast, for one thing, but they got 80 wins. We ain't catching them. You just need to put that out of your mind. But you need to play well enough to secure that first wild card spot and then go from there. It's going to be all about, I think, in the postseason, that's where the veterans step up, because they have to kind of coach these young kids along to let them know what the postseason is going to be like. But they really don't have that much to do, because Bohm and Stott, Marsh, they all went through it last year. If this team can get into the postseason, win the first series, they got a chance to go back to the World Series.
Yeah, and sorry, and even though I'm more concerned about the offense and the pitching, I still think this team's built to win it all. Right, I'll continuously say that, and I know how people out there like, "Oh, you being a homer? You got your homer hat on top." No, I don't. What I watched last year was a team that was mentally tough enough to be able to go on the run they went on. I watched that same team the following year come out and play terrible baseball in April and May again, which would get most managers fired again, but you're not going to fire a manager again, right? And then you watch when June 1st hits. And you watch the mental toughness to be able to turn the switch on and let's start playing great baseball. And they have, right? They're the second best record besides the Atlanta Braves since June 1st. That's not anything to put our nose up to. Now, the last week, 5-5, I need a little bit better of that in my last 10. That being said, let's not run from the only team better than them is the Atlanta Braves. That's it. So when you look at it, the same Atlanta Braves team that we beat last year.
And there's no way we should have beat them last year.
And we know this, Mitch, right? Like we look at Shores, we look at Harper and what we watched last year, even Nick, right? And JT, and you look at the postseason that these guys had last year. That makes me believe that they can absolutely do it again because they're going to become laser focused. That's the difference. That's where I think the difference of this baseball team is when they're in those times where they have to turn it on, right? Or they have to win a baseball game, right? They usually do. As much as it's been a roller coaster year and a lot of yelling and screaming from me and, blah, 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 and all the extra, when they needed to turn it on, they did. I can't run from that. We're big fans of trends here at A2D. And the trend is, right, that this is a baseball team when they have to get going, they have. And when the postseason comes, look what they did last year on the road in the postseason alone. I mean, to have that kind of toughness makes me believe that this offense will get big hits when they need to. Not that doesn't happen all the time, but what's going to carry you is your staff. And I do have some concerns about Ranger, right? His health, like that's different than just a whole healthy staff. Do I have concerns? Do I have concerns about Nola? Absolutely. But I know I'm on an island here, but he gets the ball in a game 3 situation for me. He just does. He might not be my 2. But in a game 3 situation, I probably have to give him the baseball. All right, Michael Lorenzen, that's an awesome story. It's a cute story. Okay,
it ain't cute. It's real.
But is it though? Because
that kid can pitch.
Yeah, but that being said, he just got tattooed the other night. So that's really that 3.5 earned run average is what we got. Is about where he's at. He's not going to no hit the world. I don't know how he's going to fare in a postseason start. Where now everything's even higher, right, Mitch? Right, the pressure's even higher. Where I almost feel like now, listen, like we talked about last week, we got time to go here before we say, all right, Nola's out of the rotation in the playoffs. But it's hard for me not to give him the ball. And Mitch, do you really think Topper's not going to give him the ball?
There is zero chance that Topper's not going to give him the ball.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
He's going to start one of those first 3 games. You can believe that. Even
if we disagree with it, it's going to happen, right?
It should be Wheeler, Lorenzen, and Nola. That's what it's going to be.
You give Lorenzen the ball over Walker. I actually agree with that. I actually do agree with that.
And you got Taiwan sitting there. If they get in a situation where the starter's getting hit around early, you can bring Walker in. You can bring Ranger in. You can bring Sanchez in. Sanchez has pitched well. I'm sorry. You look at this kid. He's not gone out there and just crapped the bed. He's pitched well for this team.
No, he has. I like that. I like the Ranger and Sanchez, right? Guys out of the pen because they're 2 guys who are familiar with it. Yep. Now if Ranger's full go and he's pitching lights out, obviously I want him in the rotation because you would like to have a lefty in there.
I don't think he'll be in the rotation in the first series. In the second series, he will be. And Sanchez will be a left-hander, a long left-hander out of the bullpen.
Because this is Lorenzen's best season too. Like he doesn't have a sample size, a longevity. It doesn't mean you don't turn it around and fix it, and here we are, right? But he just doesn't have the longevity sample size wise for me to trust it fully. Doesn't mean I don't think he's good. I don't know if I can trust it. Like, if Ranger's healthy, he was lights out in the postseason last year.
Yeah.
I do think when you look at the longevity of his career, though, right? They didn't know if they wanted him to be an outfielder or a pitcher. Then they didn't know if he was going to be a starter or a reliever.
Don't be a knockoff Ohtani then. Don't be a knockoff Ohtani.
He's kind of been jerked around a little bit throughout his career, and I think he's finally settled into his place in the starting rotation.
It's fair.
But you guys are right. I don't disagree with you. I wouldn't want to give Nola the ball in game 2. If you say he's my number 3 starter, fine. But I do like the idea of having Ranger if he's healthy, and obviously having Walker off the top to come in, because you guys know in those playoff games there are very short hooks. How many times do pitchers get taken out first and second inning?
Yep.
As soon as they start getting knocked around.
You cannot let the game get out of hand in the postseason.
Exactly. 2 guys that have had quality years that you can rely on. If you have to go and pull them in and they can come in and eat up another 5-6 innings for you, that's huge. That's the good thing about the Phillies rotation, that there is a lot of depth despite the whole Nola issue, which is why I think it kind of ties back to the poll question. The offense is the thing that week in and week out we talk about. Trey Turner, we talk about JT Realmuto and situational hitting and this and that. And
who's the only starting pitcher we've had qualms with all year long?
Arnone.
It's been Nola. The inconsistency of Aaron Nola. There's days he walks out there and looks like he can walk on water. Throwing the ball downhill, his breaking ball is biting. Then there's games you go out there, he's under the ball, his fastball has no movement to it whatsoever. His changeup, for me, he doesn't use enough. He counts too much on his breaking ball, and his breaking ball, when it's not good, is a homer because it just hangs there in the middle of the plate. That's the guy of all the guys in the rotation. They got 6 starters right now. He's my biggest concern. Sanchez isn't, Lorenzen isn't, Walker isn't, Wheeler isn't. I'm sorry. These guys have a wealth of starting pitching. And when you go into a postseason, the first series, you are going to have 11 guys in the bullpen. 11. That's just unheard of. We went into the postseason in '93. We had 5 starters and 5 relievers.
It's crazy.
That was us. Now they're going to have 11 relievers. It could be treated like a spring training game. Literally.
Really? It could. Yeah.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. Throw different guys at you.
Yeah.
Just keep waiting. I know we all do, and I know the family out there, and we appreciate everybody's kind words. Jordan says loves listening to us talk baseball. We appreciate it, Jordan. And Greg says he agrees with Mitch about Nola. And I do too. It's just I just keep waiting for him to turn it around, and he just has not. You just keep waiting for it, and for whatever reason, he hasn't.
It's a direct indictment of the pitching coach.
I agree with that one 100%.
What track record does he have? What track record does Caleb Coughlin have? Like where's his track record?
Okay, his track record. He threw 35 innings over 2 years in the big leagues to a 7.1 ERA. Anything he says to a big league starter or a reliever falls on deaf ears. And you can see it.
But I agree with you and then disagree with you, right? But all in the same thing. Like the reason I disagree is like it's not all about your success at that level if you can teach it, right? If you can teach it. But it doesn't seem like you can teach it.
They made no adjustments, though, Tom. You look at it, they do the same shit, start in and start out.
Oh, I agree with you.
Get that.
I agree with you.
That falls on the pitching coach.
You could have a 10 earned run average in the big leagues, but still be able to teach somebody else, right, and get them right. But to your point is when you have this 7 earned run average as a big leaguer, right, and then guys around you are living up to their, as successful as they can be. Now it's a really look around like, okay, who is this guy? That's when it becomes even more. If you can have whatever run average you want in the big leagues, but if people respect you and they think you're a baseball guy and they think you're a pitching guy and whatever you learn from your mistakes or whatever it may be, or they think you're innovative, whatever it may be. I don't know what Kevin Long's background hitting wise, but people respect him, right? He gained the respect of Harper. And once you gain the respect of the superstar, now other people are going to respect you. With Caleb, I don't think he's got the respect of our best pitcher, which is Zach Wheeler. So if you don't have Wheeler's respect, right? How are you going to get the respect from everybody underneath? And that's where it falls on, right, Mitch? If he had a 1-2 earned run average in his big league career, you don't need to respect anybody because the proof's in the pudding, right? So to your point is, when you look at the 7 earned run average, and then does anybody even know who you are? So how do you gain the respect without success? He has not had, as our pitching coach, he hasn't had this a ton of success around him, or had a young guy that he developed at the big league level that could say, like, look, there's my proof in my pudding, right? And the reason I always run back to your success in the big league doesn't always matter is I attribute to myself, right? I didn't take big league swings, but I guarantee if I got around a big league club, I could probably help some guys out a little bit, right? With mental stuff. But again, I need to find a Harper, right? Who trusts you, a star who trusts you, then now everybody around you will trust you. When you just walk into a clubhouse and you're a future Hall of Famer and now you're on a coaching staff, everybody's going to naturally respect you and trust you. But when you don't have that backing, you better get through to a star player, right, that loves you, and now the whole clubhouse does, or you better have a youngster that's like, yo, that's my guy. He's the top 5 Cy Young Award winner. He has none of that. That's why I don't even know how he's a job. Sorry for that long rant.
To be a coach in the big leagues, there has to be a certain amount of visual credibility. The first thing big leaguers do when they get a new coach, they look at the back of their bubblegum card. I know it sounds stupid, but it's the truth. I'll go back to Rich Doobie with Roy Halladay. Doobie, I pointed out when I did the breakdown on Halladay exactly what he was doing wrong. And I told him I had 3 pictures of Roy Halladay at release, side by side by side. He won the Cy Young in 11, finished second in 12, and 13, he's getting murdered. Why? Because he was out around the side of the baseball and his sinker wouldn't sink. His split didn't do what it was supposed to do, and he got hammered. And at the end of the breakdown, I said, it's the pitching coach's job to make this guy aware of what he's doing wrong. I said, if that doesn't happen, Roy Halladay is going to break. His next start, Cy Young, second Cy Young, 13, his career is over. The very next start after my breakdown, he broke. What did Rich Doobie do? Called me out in the media. I got in an argument with him in spring training. In the clubhouse, he's yelling at me. To which I informed him, if you ever yell at me in front of players again, I'll knock you the hell out. And I said, and if you'd like, I will put my big league numbers up against your sub 500 record in AA that you pitched to a 5.5 ERA. This is what I'm talking about. You earn respect by what you've done in this game. Doobie didn't do shit, but he wanted to argue with people that knew what they were talking about. And what did it do? It cost Roy Halladay his career and ultimately his life.
That's a good point. Yeah, I mean, probably would have still been pitching.
Yes, he would.
There's nothing
because
would
the
have
man
stopped.
knew how to pitch.
And he was such a workhorse, right? And he's such a worker, and all the things you heard about him, just all, his preparation for the job and the work, and I couldn't agree more. Yeah, dude.
It's all where the message is coming from.
Didn't Doobie go to Atlanta after that?
I have no idea. I haven't seen him since.
I feel like he might have been in Atlanta, and they had a bunch of young arms at the time, so it made him look good. I think it was him. No, maybe it was the other guy that was under Kapler. Who was under Kapler? Who was our pitching coach under Kapler?
I have no idea.
Doesn't matter. If anybody remembers, let me know. I think he's with Atlanta. I think he's the guy with Atlanta now.
Rich Doobie was out of the game for 3 years and then was with Detroit from 16 to 17.
I'll get to the bottom of this.
Doobie went where?
He was with Detroit for 2 years, 16 and 17.
Oh, they pitched their ass off in 16 and 17, didn't they? I'm sorry.
Well, probably they had Verlander and Scherzer.
They did have Verlander and Scherzer in that window, I think.
I mean, Mitch, my 2-year-old could go handle that staff.
Let me ask you this. You got Roy Halladay, Cole Hamels, and Cliff Lee. What the hell is Rich Doobie teaching those 3 guys? Not a
Yeah.
damn thing.
He's
This
riding
is
the
my whole
coattails.
point.
Rick Kranitz, that's who it is. Rick Kranitz, who was with the Phillies under Kapler, is the Braves pitching coach.
I have no idea who he is. So
Gabe does. He spit out some ice cream with him at one point.
well, you look at it, it's all where the message is coming from and who it's coming from. I know they're not listening to him because nothing's changed. I mean, as far as Wheeler, when he's going good, getting that front shoulder closed with who am I thinking? Nola. It's all about getting your hands broke over the rubber to allow yourself to throw the ball downhill. He doesn't do that. And that's not something that is hard to fix. It's really simple to fix. If you know how to point it out, show the pitcher what he's doing that is causing it. I don't believe Caleb Cotham knows what's causing it with Nola. Oh, you just had a bad day. No, that don't work at the big league level. You have to make adjustments. And I don't see any adjustments from Nola. There's times when he goes out there and he is on top of the ball, and you can see it in his stuff. From jump, you can see it in his stuff. And then as the game goes along, watch his fingers go from up here to here and around the side of the ball. It's really simple to see. How many home runs has he given up this year?
Nola?
It has to mid-20s at least.
Every week you ask me that, Mitch, and I never remember to look it up.
Tom will find it. I'll guarantee you it's 25 or 26.
It is 27.
Wow.
27 home runs.
Right around there. Look at you.
10-8 with a 4.58 earned run average.
You want to know the sad part about that?
Got 160 strikeouts, which is amazing with the amount of home runs he's given up.
Well, Bert Blyleven used to give up 50 a year. But Nola ain't Bert Blyleven. This is the kind of thing that you have to be able to go out there, throw a pitch, recognize, wow, that didn't sink. It ran, but it didn't sink. Why? You have to be able to tell yourself that, because I'm not on top of the baseball.
Keep in mind, he hasn't pitched against the 27 Yankees here either over his last 5 starts. It's been Cleveland, Pittsburgh, Royals, Washington, who I do like Washington's lineup a little bit, and then Toronto, who was good, obviously. Right? He's got a 6 earned run average his last 5 starts. 27 innings pitch. He's given up 6 home runs in 27 innings pitch. Like that. That's unacceptable. That's not even close to being good.
6 home runs was a year for me. It would take a season for me to give up 6. And
I just don't get it.
No. He has the stuff. He has to take the time to think his way through on the mound and recognize when he gets under a ball, the reaction of the baseball when it gets to the hitter. That's all stuff you have to recognize as a pitcher. I'd go out there, and if I didn't have my good fastball, I knew I couldn't be in the strike zone. I had to somehow get strike 1, and then I'd go to wetting it up. Because if I didn't have my fastball, I had no compunction with wetting my fingers and throwing a wet one. These guys today don't understand you can do the same stuff with spit, especially now that they let you lick your fingers on the mound. If I could have done that when I was playing, I'd have had a lot more fun. But you had to leave the dirt to lick your fingers. So I would load up these 2 fingers with spit and then wipe these 2 off on my pant leg before I got back on the mound. There's all kinds of things you can do when you don't have your best stuff, but the main thing you have to do is make sure you're mechanically sound and throwing the baseball downhill. Lorenzen, he don't have overwhelming velocity. He just knows how to pitch with what he's got. And that kind of pitching in a postseason atmosphere plays, because if you can locate a fastball, a changeup, and a breaking ball, you're winning. Nola can't locate his breaking ball. His changeup, I don't believe he uses enough. He loves his breaking ball. And how many home runs has he given up on that breaking ball this year? I guarantee it's more than half.
Oh yeah, just by eye test, I think it definitely is. It absolutely is.
Because hitters are going up there. Hitters will watch his arm slot. And if he's under the baseball, they know his breaking ball is going to hang. All they got to do is watch him throw his warm-up pitches. And if he's in that slot where his fingers are around the side of the baseball, they're going to have to break up the fight at the bat rack.
It's true. It's very, very true. Let's take a quick step away here. Let's show some love to our sponsors here, and then we'll come back on the other side. We'll continue to recap this past week and preview the upcoming week as we enter September baseball. But first, a word from RTC.
Mitch Williams here. If your company ships freight, join my winning team at Raymond Transportation Corporation. Let us become part of your team. RTC has been serving shippers nationwide for 26 years. With 10 terminals located throughout the U.S., volume LTL, small LTL, truckload, and rail. You can count on RTC to be the closer you need. I know firsthand that the Delaware Valley demands accountability. Call me at 800-206-3983 to schedule a meeting. Give me one shipment, and we will earn the rest. Mitch Williams here. If your company
Just a little reminder that was you there, Mitch. And guys,
my dogs are barking.
I just can't stand how slow this computer works from my computer at home. It's so like, oh my God, it's like I'm slow motion over here. Slow motion.
Little love over a little love over to Gleason's Bar and Grill too. Don't forget, guys. Let them know A2D sent you over.
Dude, the best, man. The best. Like, if you have not tried the Trenton yet, if you have not tried the Trenton up at Gleason's, you have to. But you're talking about pork roll and cheesesteak. A pork roll, phenomenal regard. Pork roll and cheese, I'm in all day. Yeah, now you're giving me steak involved in it as well, and it's delicious. Let me tell you something. I ate it cold, right? I'm about 50 minutes away from Gleason's. So when I got it, by the time my buddy brought it to me, it was cold. And I didn't even heat it up. I went right at it cold, and oh my! You know when something's that good, when you can devour cold, and it's still that good. That's when you know. That's how I test out new places. I eat their stuff cold because if I like it cold, I'm sure as hell going to love it hot.
Yeah, see,
you're a strange dude, Tom.
Yeah, I just made that up, but yeah.
To me, it's more about how it reheats, and that's legit. If it reheats
True.
close to what it's like, that's quality food. But don't forget, guys, if you're dining in, let your server know when you go up to the front. Let them know, hey, A2D sent me in, get 10% off, or use the promo code online, Gleason'sBarandSteaks.com. Back to the conversation. Brian down here says, Mitch, Arnone's biggest problem is his pitches and location with 2 strikes on hitters. He gives up hard hits and line drives when he has guys down 0-2, 1-2. He also lets the pitch clock be an issue, which we just had 100 times.
I don't want to hear that anymore. You know what I mean? That's cool in April and May. Right?
There's no room for pitch clock bitching on August 21st.
He doesn't attack, man. He don't attack. It's like he's scared of his own stuff.
Let me comment on Ryan's comment. You could not be more on point, Ryan. The problem with guys in the big leagues, Cliff Lee used to drive me nuts because he thought he had to throw a strike on an 0-2 pitch every time. The number of 0-2 base hits and 0-2 home runs that Arnone gives up is inexcusable. I can tell you this, my rookie year in baseball, I was 17 years old. My pitching coach was a guy named Jerry Johnson out of Lubbock, Texas. This is the kind of guy Jerry was. He was 6'3", 245 pounds of solid muscle as a pitching coach in rookie ball. He pitched for the Giants in the big leagues. He threw at a guy 4 times and missed him. As the guy was going to first base, Jerry walked over and beat the hell out of him. He told us, my first day, if you give up an 0-2 base hit, that's a $20 fine. I would throw shit off the backstop 0-2. I was not giving up no 0-2 base hit. It's the pitch count. They all think they have to get him out in 3 pitches. I don't care if it takes you 50, as long as the at-bat ends in an out. These guys don't think about using a pitch to set up another one. All they're concerned about, that damn clicker. When I get to 100, I'm out. You don't have to get them out in 3 pitches. You just have to get the some bitches out. And that's what they're not understanding.
No, it's true. It's true. It's I love attacking, right? I love to be on the attack, but
you can attack 0-2 and get a guy to chase. He's got 2 strikes on him.
Exactly. More guys are going to go outside their zone 0-2 or 1-2 than obviously in other counts. So the numbers play for you. And listen, you're one of the biggest advocates on, you get a strike on a guy, you usually don't have to throw him another one.
Nope.
Right? But if you get 2 on a guy, it's even more of a reason.
You got 4 chances. If you're 0-2, you got 4 chances for that dumbass at the plate to swing at a ball. So why throw a strike? Strikes get hit. It's that simple.
It's because they think their movement is going to be something that's otherworldly. They try to get too cute and they overthink the situation. And next thing you know, you got a runner on second. Next thing you know, you got a runner on third. You got runners in scoring position.
Now you got a 3-run homer.
Starts to fall apart.
And the thing about it, if I was coaching at the big league level today, I literally would not care about the pitch count. I mean, I'm sure the organization would overrule me in anything I had to say, but I'm not. I refuse to send a guy out there and say, 0-2, you got to get him out on that 0-2 pitch. No, the best pitch in an 0-2 count is an elevated fastball.
Yep.
Problem with the pitchers today, they don't know how to elevate. If you elevate away, a hitter can recognize away. You elevate in, he can recognize in. If you throw a fastball to the top of the catcher's mask down the middle, they can't afford to take it because they can't count on it not having the downhill to it. So if it's right down the middle, they have to make that decision that quick. But like I said, away and in, they can recognize. When it's elevated in the middle of the plate, they can't take it. They can't afford to take it.
Yeah, I don't understand why there's not more of it, right? I just can't. I can't wrap my head around why the elevated fastball seems to be going away for a lot of pitchers. Like, it's a no-brainer. Just a no-brainer.
Go back to the Atlanta series that we played in '93, the NLCS. When I struck Bill Pecota out, the 2-1 pitch I threw behind him. That's how bad I missed with it. Then it got to 3-1. I threw him a fastball for a called strike. You know where the 3-2 pitch was? You saw it. Where was that pitch that I struck Pecota out with? Head high. They can't afford to take it if it's down the middle. It can be up, but it has to be in the middle of the plate. Guys want to swing. And you put them in a position to have to. As a pitcher, you have to recognize where the pressure lies at that point. It ain't on you. If I got an 0-2 count, I get to play with you. That's all I ever looked at. I get to play with the hitter because I got him in an 0-2 count.
Yeah,
and I view it that way.
And I'll say this too, right? When you talk about the new, I don't want to say the new approach to hitting, right? But a different approach to hitting, where a lot of hitters are barrel drop, and I'm going here. Yeah,
angle.
I don't even like calling it a launch angle anymore, right? Because I don't even want to give it credit. I don't want to give it substance to it, right? We'll just call it a new age of hitting, right? Where I'm not thinking about being here. I'm thinking about, right? Even more of a reason to live letter high.
Yes.
Live letter high, man, because now I got to get my hands above that baseball. My hands got to stay above that baseball. So it's a no-brainer. I talked to, thank God there's still some normal, smart baseball people in the world, right? That like can teach kids the common sense of pitching. Just common sense. Like, oh no, did I pitch in the big leagues? No. Did I take a million lessons growing up? Yes. Do I watch games and just understand it? Yes. This isn't brain surgery here.
No.
Like when I could sit on my couch yesterday, I was watching a Braves Giants game, right? Braves Giants game quickly, right? Whoever was bad for the Braves, he broke his wrist earlier in the year. He got hit. Okay. I forget who it was. He got hit, right? Pitcher goes inside to him, right? It almost hits him. He gets off it. So where is my next pitch going to go? He's going to get jumpy. Now I pound him away. I automatically going to pound him away. You know where the next pitch goes? Back inside again. Do you think there was a pitch after that went away on the other side? No. He threw him again inside, and again, he's jumpy and pulls off and strikes out. But my point is, I was saying to my dad, it's like, dude, I'm going to pound the outside corner now. You can tell in his body and his mannerisms on that next pitch how jumpy he was, right? You think he's setting you up? No. He's got 97 run inside on him. He's not setting you up. He's worried about getting hit.
He's protecting himself.
Pound away. He's going to fly off of it. He's going to pull off of it. But of course, he gets a strikeout. But again, the IQ of pitching wasn't there. Like
our pitchers.
We do all this studying. Sorry, Mitch. We do all this studying on guys. We don't know the guy broke his wrist earlier in the year. Come on.
Absolutely. And when you look at it, all you have to do is just flip the script. How are they getting our $300 million hitter out?
Yeah.
How are they getting our $25 million a year catcher out? How did they get Castellanos out last year? How do they get Schwarber out? They show them in and get them out away.
I don't understand it, right? I just don't understand it. Okay, you can watch the game, and the common sense is stay through a baseball. Every kid, every time I played, I'm trying to stay through a baseball. I'm not thinking down the line. I'm never thinking about hitting a ball as a lefty down the right field line. I'm thinking about hitting that ball up the middle, living gaps, right? Stay on a baseball. I watch big leaguers constantly, right here in Philadelphia, our 300-hour men, right? Pulling off of baseballs, leaking on baseballs. And then when I watch when they're going good, that they're staying on and through a baseball. Now, listen, I understand that you're not going to bat 500, right? And you're going to get out. But, man, from 240 to 300 is like a hit a week. It's like a hit a week, essentially. So you're telling me that you can't stay on baseballs enough, that you're constantly pulling off, and then you can't fix that? It's just mind-boggling with all hitters in the big leagues.
You know, I've seen one guy, literally one guy, over my 35 years involved in professional baseball that could get on top of a high fastball, and that was Prince Fielder.
Oh.
Prince Fielder could hit from his nose to his toes. That's just the approach he had. He could absolutely rake. You throw him up here, he might hit it in the popcorn stand in the outfield. That's the only guy I saw that could get on top of one like he did.
But you knew that going to it. Yeah, go ahead,
I
Crow.
throw one more name in there, and that's Vlad Guerrero Sr., who hit everything and anything off the shoelaces from the top of
I
his
watched him hit a breaking ball that bounced.
Yeah.
And got a base hit on it.
Yeah. There's just certain guys that are the exception, but overall, you guys are right. The approach is there, and launch angle makes it kind of, Tom, you're spot on. It makes it even more. I
swear, I wish launch angle would have been a thing when I was playing.
Oh, you would have had a million strikeouts.
Oh, it was like pitching in the American League. All I had to do was elevate the ball. Then I came to the National League, and they had all these piss hitters that all they do is throw the barrel at the ball, and they almost took my lifts off. So I had to change the way I approach guys. In the American League, it was get 2 strikes, throw a fastball up, punch out.
Listen, one guy I never want to be compared to is Von Hayes, by the way. Like Trey Turner, second Philly, to hit multiple homers in the same innings since Von Hayes. Probably not the guy I want to.
What was he, 8 for 1?
Yes.
Didn't they trade 8 players for him? 8 for 1?
Yes.
I'll tell you what, I don't know why. I played with Stick. And I pitched against him, and I played with him. And I don't know how you give up 8 of anything for Von Hayes. He just wasn't that good a player.
8 baseballs.
No. 8 bottles of Coke, anything.
Yeah, and it's not a hate a Von conversation,
no,
right?
I love Von. He was a good guy.
Some guys did, and that's the thing. Like, and then you come here and you trade 8 guys are traded for 1. Now there's a pressure to live up to something, which he was never going to be able to live up for if you traded 1 for 1. Yeah, it's like you have no chance from the start. But yeah, it's the one guy I don't want to be named in the same conversation with is Von, but at least Trey. But that's an interesting little tidbit, a little stat. That it's the only 2 guys that do it.
The scary part about Trey, you see flashes of just how good he can be. The home runs he hit this weekend. But going into the weekend, he was 1 for 11 on the road trip. Trey Turner cannot be 1 for 11 at any point. That's not what you're paying him for. And it's a direct reflection of his path of his barrel. It's just that simple. And you watch the balls he hits out, there ain't no behind the head net. It's from here to there. I don't know how he doesn't figure that out.
I almost had a better at bat than he's had all year yesterday. And I haven't hit in 20 years. So, just gonna say I saw some Marine pitcher and I drew a walk on 5 pitches. So, I'm just here to say, maybe there's a comeback in the making. Took me a little while to get the second to home. I'm not gonna lie to you. Then I retired. Once I had to go second to home, I'm like, that's it.
I know I could go out and show Nola how to give up more home runs. That's
I'm just praying. Is he start tonight? Is he got the ball tonight? Let me see.
Well, while you look that up, let's take a quick second here.
Hold on. Can't do 2 things at once. Hold on. Let me circle back.
And on the other side here, we're gonna preview the upcoming week with the Giants and St. Louis.
I'll tell you what. When you look at that, we're 3-12 against Gabe.
That's atrocious. It's so bad. And nobody hates Gabe Kapler more than Tom Arnone. I mean, I literally personally feel like I'm responsible for running that dry jock out of town and his ice cream that he spits out. I'm so anti-Gabe, it's not even funny. But I don't hate Gabe. I actually like his fire, like somewhere else. He's in the perfect place for Gabe Kapler, which is San Francisco.
Yeah,
where a lot of weirdness. Just leave it at that. It's a perfect home for him. His thought. The way he thinks is not built for Philadelphia. It's just not built. I think he's done a really good job out there. I give credit where credit's due.
I think he's learned from mistakes here as well.
I'll agree to that. I do think he's willing to learn. Listen. You can't go to a gunfight with a bunch of knives. Let's be fair too. And he did have knives here besides Harper. It was a knife fight, right? He didn't have the talent this roster has or that Girardi inherited, right? He didn't have that type of roster, but we are ready for better baseball. And when you say weird stuff or you're half naked in a Sports Illustrated cover.
That's my point.
When
you pose for a magazine in a leopard weenie bikini, you do not belong in Philadelphia. I'm sorry. You should not come to the city of Philadelphia because they are going to torture you, which is exactly what happened to him. He got tortured because of that damn picture. He's a male model. Okay, yeah, great. You're built good. You're a good-looking guy, but that don't win baseball games. And making excuses for your players after they suck does not win baseball games, and it does not make your players better.
Tremendous competitor.
Oh, I'm so proud of the way they went out there and got a mud hole stomped in their ass tonight. Couldn't be prouder. That don't play in Philly.
Don't play anywhere on the East Coast, right?
Boston, New York, Philadelphia, no.
I think game 1 of the Gabe Kapler era, was that the game he pulled Nola?
Yep, 70-something
Tom
pitches.
Arnone jumped off the train that day and never, ever got back on again. I can vouch for that.
That's just a guy that doesn't have a feel for the game or managing the game. Now, out in San Francisco, people give Philly fans a bad rap. I'm going to tell you point blank, the worst fans in all of sports are the San Francisco Giant fans.
Wow.
They are horrible. Oakland, another place. I watch the Texas Rangers, the entire bullpen go into the stands. They're hitting fans with chairs and everything. That's the kind of people that are out there on that coast. There is nothing off limits. And they think Philly is a bad fan base. No.
Yeah.
Go sit in the stands in San Francisco with a Philly jersey on and see what happens.
Yeah, or Dodger Stadium too, right? Go to Dodger Stadium with a Philly jersey.
Well, you won't have to worry about any of the fans at Dodger Stadium until the 3rd inning.
Yeah. Well, to your point,
take the jersey off after the 2nd.
Yeah.
I'll even go beyond San Francisco Giants. How many times have we seen incidents on the national news involving 49er fans and somebody being put in a hospital from a fight after a game. It's happened numerous times.
Just happened the other day in a preseason game. They're fighting in a preseason game where nobody cares. Like literally nobody with common sense football knowledge gives a rat's ass about preseason football now.
No,
they don't. We're fighting. What are we fighting over? Because you're animals. That's why. Because you're animals.
I can tell you this: in '89 in the NLCS, we played the Giants when I was with the Cubs. It was at Candlestick, and their bullpen was like a kid's fort. It was real small. It was like a bunker. There was no room down there. So outside the little covered area was a Gatorade jug. I went out there to get a drink of water, and a guy poured a full beer over my head in the front row. I filled up a cup of water, fired it at him. The National League had to stop the San Francisco police from arresting me during the game. I saw the police report after the game. You know what the charge was? Assault with a clear liquid.
Oh, you told me this story.
They literally were going to arrest me during the game in the postseason because a fan poured a beer all over me.
Guy's lucky he didn't throw a cup of piss back at him.
Oh, he's lucky he didn't eat a baseball.
Yeah. You get the whole dip bottle tossed back at you.
Exactly. Here,
all right, you want to run this break, Crum, and then we'll come right back and
run the break. Other side, we'll come back and preview the Giants and Cardinals series.
Company ships freight. Join my winning team at Raymond Transportation Corporation. Let us become part of your team. RTC has been serving shippers nationwide for 26 years with 10 terminals located throughout the U.S., volume LTL, small LTL, truckload, and rail. You can count on RTC to be the closer you need. I know firsthand that the Delaware Valley demands accountability. Call me at 800-206-3983 to schedule a meeting. Give me one shipment, and we will earn the rest.
That's a fact.
That's a fact.
I did it. I figured out how to turn the loop off. Let's go.
Yeah, baby.
And don't forget Gleason's, guys. Let them know. Dine in. Let your server, let the person at the register know. A2D sent you in 10% off. Or you can do takeout online. Gleason's Bar and Steaks.com. Tom says tried the Trenton. It's usually pretty spot on with these things. So make sure you guys check them out at 600 Mill Creek Ave in Levittown, PA.
Appreciate you telling me I'm spot on about something.
Hey, I mean it's few and far between. What timestamp at 52? We'll put that in the end of the year loop we run. Philly, we got the Giants coming into the Philly. This guy, so a home stretch this week, a home stand. Giants coming in for 3. You have off on Thursday. St. Louis coming in. What are we looking at this week? We're looking for the offense to kind of switch around, but what's a successful homestand here in these upcoming 6 games?
You have to play 666 baseball at home. They got to win 4 of the 6. You got to play 500 on the road, which they didn't on this last trip, and you got to play 666 at home. They got to go 4-2 if they hope to continue this lead in the wild card.
So is it 9 at home, or we're just talking this week, right? So this week 6.
Just this week, yeah. Overall it's a 9-game homestand because they have to round out the month. They have the Angels coming in, but if we're just going on next week before next week's show.
Yeah, well, this one's so important. I'll just start with this series, right? I mean, this series has to be 2 out of 3 because it's even bigger than just a regular series. This is the team that's the second spot in the wild card. They're 2.5 games behind you. You have to add on to that. You have to tack on. You cannot leave this series at 1.5 or less, right? Nope. So you need to be 3.5 or above in this series. So right there, it's got to be 2 out of 3 against the Giants, right? You start out tonight. It is Arnone tonight versus Scott Alexander. Okay, so that's your pitching matchup for tonight. And in the next series, I feel the same way. So I'm right with Mitch. I mean, I need 4-2 minimum. You know, and anything less than that's just not good enough, right? Got to play. Keep saying it. Got to be playing your best baseball going into September and in October. So, I'm a 4-2.
If they want to put all those teams behind them completely in the rearview mirror, they have to take every one of these pitches and every one of these at-bats 1 pitch at a time. They go 1 pitch at a time against this team, these next 2 teams, if you sweep the next two series, you have put all those teams in their rearview mirror, and they know they're not catching you. But if you give them a thought that they can catch you, they can.
So it's Walker tomorrow night, Tuesday night, and then a 4:05 game Wednesday, and they don't have a starter announced for tomorrow yet. The Giants, and then it's Alex Cobb on Wednesday versus Lorenzen. So there's your matchup.
Cobb, the kid that came up with the Rays way back when.
Alex Cobb, I think he was with the Rays.
Yeah,
he broke in with the Rays.
Correct. He's with the Rays, Orioles, and now Giants, where I want to say he's been rough over his last 5 games.
I was going to say, that guy, I don't think he can stand on your forehead and puff your lip with his fastball.
No, he gets it done with everything else, right? It's all secondary pitches.
All they have to do is force him into the strike zone, and that's a W.
Man, he has 113 strikeouts and 127 innings pitched.
And that's just shameful.
Yeah, it is.
Shame on hitters. Tom, I think you might be able to hit him.
Throw me a curveball. I got you. Something off speed, please.
Nah, I think you guys are spot on, right? Try to take 4 at least, maybe 5. I mean, with St. Louis and the way that the Phillies have played them over the last couple of years and where that organization's at, there's no reason they can't sweep St. Louis at this point. Although they played fairly well over the last couple of weeks with the young guys, which has been nice to see. But I find
they can hit, right? Like St. Louis is going to come in and hit. They don't have the pitching, right? And San Francisco is the opposite, right?
I don't want to interrupt you, Tom, but I want to address this comment here from Stephen Pace. Well, almost noon from my house here in Saratoga Springs, Utah. This is my favorite part of it. Mitch Williams is so knowledgeable. That is truly a hidden fact. Thank you, Stephen, for recognizing that.
Yeah, Stephen, big follower for A2D for a long time, Steve. We appreciate it, and you are spot on.
Oh, it would be one thing if I was pointing out like rare diseases or something, but you're talking about guys with mechanical issues that are so easy to point out. I don't know how they haven't been addressed, and I know they've been addressed. It's the hitters that are not taking that advice.
Oh, yeah.
Because you see it. When Turner's going good, it's so obvious. Same thing with JT. If I'm a pitcher, neither one of those guys will see a ball on the inner third of the plate. If they see something inside, it's going to knock them down. It is not going to be on the plate inside. Just stay away from them. They're outs unless they make the adjustment.
No, I mean, absolutely. I mean, it's going to be a very telling week or month, really, because I'm looking ahead at the Phillies schedule the rest of the way, right? A lot of home games come that are on the stretch from now to the end of the year.
We have more home games left than anyone in baseball.
It's crazy. And a lot of divisional games. However, they are playing a lot of teams that I'll tell you what, if they could really play Atlanta well in the 2 remaining series left, I know we pretty much it's almost a really far shot for them to catch Atlanta, but man, could they pull within like 3 or 4 games and absolutely run away with all the teams? Because you're looking left, right? They have another 2-game series against St. Louis, who is what they are. San Diego has got to be one of the biggest disappointments in the last 3 years in baseball. You know, they have Miami, who's always a tough matchup. Atlanta. They're looking at Pittsburgh, who fell back down to earth. They have the Angels, who can be hit and miss. They have the Brewers, who, to me, they're in the worst division, in my opinion, in baseball, or second worst division in baseball right now. So with where they're at, it's not super impressive to me. I think if they're in the Phillies division, they're bottom feeders.
Yeah.
It's a very favorable schedule for them to be able to work on a lot of things, turn a lot of things around offensively and pitching-wise, and get a little bit of momentum going into the playoffs and lock down that number 1 seed.
Yep. The rest of this season is going to be all about who makes the adjustments. And that's all big league baseball is. You have to adjust on a pitch-by-pitch basis, whether you're a hitter or you're a pitcher. You have to be able to recognize what you did well and what you did wrong on every swing, on every pitch. And I just don't think these guys, I could be wrong, but watching what I've watched all year long with JT and Trey, it does not scream that they're looking at video.
No.
Because as a professional hitter, if you can't recognize what you're doing wrong with JT getting back to square with his feet, or as Trey dropping that barrel back behind his head, if you can't recognize that and address it, it's going to be a long month of September.
Absolutely. Any final words, gentlemen, before we sign off here?
No, just about the Padres, right? Just quickly. I know it's not the Phillies, but I mean, just wow. I think when you look at me guys, right? When you look at some me guys, I know. Well, I mean, Machado's having a downright awful year. It's not like Manny Machado. I mean, Manny Machado's batting .248. Okay, I mean, he's lost the baseball a lot at 23 homers. Soto 261, Tatis 264. Yeah, they've all hit a bunch of home runs, right?
How many home runs does Tatis have?
20.
This
I got a lot of
guy
questions about him though, because I think
I have a ton. I think that is going to end up being one of the worst signings in the history of baseball.
I'm starting.
Didn't they give
judge-
him over 300 or 400 million?
It was at least three or 350. I think. To me, it's the character thing, right? When you're looking at, I thought he was going to be one of the guys who's going to be a face of the game, right? And then,
I never concerned myself with that.
He gets.
I
hurt.
honestly, I look at where he came from. His father was the same type of guy.
Yeah,
Extremely talented, but who's showing up on a day-to-day basis?
Right, but I feel like the difference between them, right? I always felt like Fernando Tatis Sr. or Fernando Tatis was a character-wise, there was never a question. But I look at this guy, and I think, and this is where it does concern me, because what Tom mentioned as well, right? When we're talking about me guys, guy gets off an injury, immediately gets hit for steroids right after he signs a contract. And it just seems like there's these rumblings about him that he may not be the best locker. There may be a massive ego that's there that may never allow this kid to hit his potential.
Well, how old is he now? 24, 25?
He's young. Yeah, he's in his mid-20s, I believe.
14 years, $340 million.
$340 million. How many good years did he have before he signed that contract?
Not many. 2. I want to say 2.
And he's 24. He's 24 right now.
I'm sorry, you do not. He's in the second or third year of that deal, isn't he?
Yeah, signed in 2021. So yeah.
How can you give a 22-year-old guarantee him $340 million? What you're doing is you're guaranteeing this kid he don't have to do shit the rest of his career. Give me the guy that is playing for a contract over a guy that has got one. Because you see, some guys can handle the money. Some guys go off the deep end. Like you said, he got popped for steroids. Where do you think he learned that?
Mm-hmm.
I believe his father might have been implicated in that stuff too, as well. I could be wrong.
Possible. I think that does sound like it rings a bell. No.
Yeah.
But for the Padres, that horse has left the barn.
That's a team.
You got $340 million that you will never be able to trade.
I would have dealt him the day his dad defended it. You know what I mean? The day his dad defended it is the day he's gone. Right? Because if I'm not getting accountability from the top, and I know, like, okay, he's a 24-year-old grown man, but if you're not getting accountability from a guy that he obviously trusts in the baseball world, right? Helped him get here, I'm sure, right? But at the end of the day, when you're not getting accountability from that, what makes you think you're going to get accountability from the player?
That's the thing you have to look at. What is his goal now? He already has $340 million that's going in his bank account. What does he have left to accomplish?
Well, you know this, Mitch. There's a reason why in professional sports, a topic of conversation always is guys in a contract year, because that's the trend shows it. You get most of the time you get the most productive or a top 2 or 3 productive year in a guy's career in a contract year, because they have everything to play for that year.
Well, the thing that baffles me, my first team was the San Diego Padres. They couldn't have been more cheap back then.
Yeah.
But when I look at, he wasn't even arbitration eligible when they signed him to that deal. There's
They tried to
certain
get ahead of
guys.
the curve. They tried to be cute and get ahead of the curve.
Yeah, they got ahead of the curve. They now have a guy that's going to be injury prone. He's a bad locker room guy. You can see it that there's guys on that team that can't stand him. Manny Machado and him, I think, are like oil and water. One of them has to go. And now you have Juan Soto there. Juan Soto is a guy that does nothing. I mean, tremendous talent. Don't get me wrong. Unbelievable hitter. But what he does at the plate, never, I always said to every player I ever coached or managed, don't ever give your opponent added incentive to want to kick your ass. And I'm sorry, all that stuff that he does at the plate, going out at the pitchers on pitch, no. All that does is make pitchers want to stuff you every single time you walk up there.
Well, the trend, I mean, listen, the history shows it. These teams that try to get ahead pre-arbitration years. Who was the guy the Phillies signed? He had like a September.
Kingery.
Cardinals signed DeYoung. All these guys, the history has shown that the majority of the time they try to get ahead of these arbitration years and sign guys for what they think is being cute and being cheaper. Those contracts are terrible.
They kill your organization.
$40 million away. That is insane to me to do that for a guy like
after 2 years. After 2 years.
2 years.
The only ones who've got it right. The only ones who've got it right now are the Atlanta Braves.
Yep. Because they have probably, arguably, the best player in baseball playing right field for him right now, and it's the most organizational friendly contract on the planet.
Yeah, and Albie's worked too, Dynasty, right? They linked Albie's up. So Albie's in Acuna now. Albie's didn't get as much as Acuna did. But at the end of the day, they inked him very early too. But they're the ones who've got it right. Now, I don't know about Riley. I don't know if I think they inked Riley too.
Also,
right? So, I mean, they just have hit, right? But they also have a great coaching staff, great assistant coaches, right? I mean, Ron Washington's one of my favorite guys in baseball. I still am learning stuff from Ron Washington when you talk about infielders, etc.
Base running.
And you learn a lot when he talks about young players. When he talks about when young guys come up, we want to focus on what they do really well right now, right? We're not going to try to make them do things that they're not there yet with. We're going to develop it into that. And I think that's a big thing that more Major League Baseball teams can learn from. Do what they do well, do what makes them comfortable right now, and that will help their growth as a big leaguer.
Yeah. That's the other with the Kingery contract. How do you give him that money? What had he done to earn that money?
Nothing.
It's not how a guy is when he's going good that you base a character assessment on. You base a character assessment on a guy who is struggling. Kingery showed you his character. Once he started to struggle, his career was over. And now you look at Tatis. I don't think Tatis is going to do a thing the rest of his career. He's going to be hurt. He's going to be underproductive. And he's going to be a bad guy in that clubhouse because he's one of those guys that if it's not going well for him, he don't care how the team's doing.
He's getting his bag.
That's it.
Yeah. I'll leave you guys with this. The Nationals have just signed Davey Martinez to a 2-year extension and are close to a new deal with general manager Mike Rizzo, per Ken Rosenthal. So that just happened. Davey Martinez is staying in Washington. They got a lot of young talent on their way up, and Mike Rizzo does a good job of returning it over like he's done since all the losses.
Rizzo's done a nice job of pointing out talent, recognizing talent. He's done a good job of that. You look at that lineup that Washington put out there. They got a bunch of guys in that lineup that are scrappy hitters. Manassas, their left fielder. Their right
Ruiz. Fielder. Is it Ruiz, the right fielder? I forget his name, but yeah.
Isn't it Walker?
I don't even know. I paid no attention to them for so long, and now they're actually like they got some players. But and then the number 2 overall pick in the draft, Dylan Crew. So yeah, I mean they have Abrams, who they got in the Soto deal, who was the big piece of the Soto deal. You know, he's starting to shape up to being a pretty good shortstop. So I mean they do have some young talent, and they obviously have more in the pipeline. Keibert Ruiz is who I'm thinking about. 15 homers, 258 average.
I'm thinking about the right fielder, Walker, I think his name is. He threw a guy out at third the other night, Bohm.
Oh, it might have been might be thinking about Lane Thomas, who's another good little player too. Yeah, Lane Thomas
he was a Cardinal. Great trade, Mo.
Well, yeah. The rest of the season is going to boil down to how much the Phillies can focus on each pitch. If they break it down to just a pitch-by-pitch game, the Phillies shouldn't get beat. They have so much talent. But they've got to fix the guys that are struggling. Trey Turner should never be 1 for 11 on a road trip.
So much talent and a lot of opportunity, Mitch.
Yes.
A lot of opportunity to close this out. So, listen, guys, great show again. Wonderful talking baseball with you, and for everybody out there and all your comments. We love and appreciate you. Want to say thank you, RTC. Make sure you guys hit them up. Any of your freight needs, any of that. Let Mitch know over here, as well as Gleason's. Make sure you guys check him out. Let him know that A2D sent you in. Get your 10% off, or if you order online at Gleason'sBarandSteaks.com. Check them out. The A2D promo code is going to get you 10% off. But great again this week, guys. Come back. Join us for all of our other shows this week. We got Eagle season coming up and lots of other things to talk about. James Harden, that's a fun conversation.
Wait a minute. What's Harden doing now? I haven't heard.
Oh, you know, he's just trying to make things difficult before the camp opens up in September.
Well,
yeah, he put a picture up of a fat suit in a closet the other day, like it was like loading to happen again. So he's a piece of garbage.
Yes.
Yeah. So
anytime you cash your check at a strip club, it's not a good sign.
Oh man. So listen, for myself, thank you guys for letting me join again. For Tom, Arnone, Mitch Williams, The Wild Thing. Make sure you guys come back next week for Here's the Thing to discuss everything from this week and obviously to preview the next week going into September. But
hopefully we're talking about 6 wins next Monday, guys.
Yeah, let's go.
Let's go. Go Phils. Have a great week. Love you guys. Come back to A2D, like, subscribe, follow.